Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Yoast SEO update. I'm Carolyn Shelby,
And I'm Alex Moss.
and this is where we're going to run through recent search news, updates, and patterns that we're watching and talk honestly about what we think they mean.
And we'll separate that from what we know and what we're still testing or speculating about.
And we're going to wrap that up with a Q&A at the end so we can answer all of your questions. All righty, let us get rocking and rolling. How are you doing, Alex?
I am doing fine. I feel like it's been a quick month. I don't know what happened. I fell asleep once, and now a month's gone, and I don't know. We've been everywhere. We've both been to conferences. I went to SEO Brain in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and then a couple of weeks ago I was in Aarhus in Denmark at Search Day. How about you?
I don't think what was I doing at the beginning of April? Oh, I had a class for school. But prior to that, I went to, I was at CloudFest for our last episode, and I don't know, I did so much. I was in Europe like 4 times last month, and this month my brain is just not recovered. Let's get going though, because we have a lot to cover, and we are notoriously bad about getting this stuff going. All right.
What us?
Hold on. It's happening. It's coming. Hold on. There we go. All right. One of the things we wanted to announce is that we are celebrating 5 years of the SEO update by Yoast. So yay!
Yay!
And in honor of that, we're going to have bingo today. So you can go to Yoast, yoa.st/bingo-game to download or generate your bingo card. And each card is going to have unique words. So you have to generate a new one. You can't just like use this one. I have been told this one is for example purposes. You want to collect all the words on your card. Obviously, it's bingo, as the news items are mentioned on the slides. And then the complete cards can get emailed to community@yoast.com. And the person who sends it in first can win a Yoast AI Plus subscription for 1 whole year, which I'm pretty sure is like
That's decent amount. Like I know we're generous at Yoast, but like that's a generous price from Yoast. So
yeah.
thanks whoever approved that, guys.
All right. So we look forward to hopefully helping all of you, or at least some of you, complete your bingo cards, and may the odds ever be in your favor. Uh, if you have any questions, as always, check the right-hand side of your screen. There is a tab that says Q&A. Put your questions in there, and that way we can ask them or answer them at the end of the show during the Q&A section.
I do want to interject there that we don't have time to answer all the Q&A, partly because we babble like we are right now. But if we didn't answer your question, do DM us on LinkedIn, connect with us. We do like to answer as much as possible.
Normally, yeah. No, I don't know why I said that. Okay. If you want to learn more about today's topic, you can go to Yoast, yoa.st/April-2026. The recording will be available there, as will links to all of the articles that we talk about in today's episode. So all of the information will be available there, and we do get questions every time about recordings. Yes, there are recordings. You can actually go back and watch all of the prior Yoast SEO updates online. They're all recorded, they're all available. So if you ever get bored or it's a rainy day and you need something to do, you can always go back and rewatch all of our wonderful episodes. Let's see. If you feel like you need an introductory course about SEO, we have an SEO for Beginners webinar coming up on May 27th. And then we have a special different webinar that is just an introduction to Yoast SEO. And the next one is May 13th, which I'm pretty sure is 2 weeks from now? Yeah, exactly 2 weeks from now. So if you're interested in those, you can get information about that online or just go to yoast.com/webinars and you'll see all the details there. As always, we've got our little helpful icons. If there is a stopwatch next to the title, it means it's immediate impact. If there are chess pieces, it's long-term strategy, something to file away, maybe not something to act upon right away. And then we've got today's poll question. How are you adapting your SEO strategy for AI-powered search?
Don't answer now. Don't answer now.
Don't
I
answer
know that
now.
you did. I know that you did last time. It's in the poll section over here. I know last time there was like boom A B C D E.
Yeah, so see, go back to your tabs. Next to the Q&A, there's a polls thing, right? These are the answers, but they're repeated on the page. So all you need to know is these are your options, focusing more on content clarity and structure, or updating keywords based on how people ask questions, or experimenting with AI tools or automation, or not making changes yet. So as I said, go up to on the right-hand side of your screen, there's the chat tab, the Q&A tab, and then the polls tab. That is where you answer. You don't need to put your answer in the chat. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not going to help the score at the end. If you want it to count, you have to put it in the polls tab. All right. I think that's enough housekeeping. Are you ready to get started, Alex?
Yes, let's go. Let's
Okay.
keep this pace though. Let's try and do a pace. Who
Okay.
wants to go first? Who do you want to cover this? You or me?
You.
Okay, Google Ads, a new Google agent user agent. I said it first time. How about that? So this user agent now crawls sites, acting as an agent, what an agent would see and do. And the do part's quite important, and we'll get to that in a later slide. But it represents AI systems acting on behalf of us lot, and it's not a standard crawling, and it'll integrate with page content, navigations, forms and requests, things like that. So it'll be able to do a little bit more on the crawl, or more so understand more of a website's abilities with an agent.
For the takeaway, I think the big takeaway here, if it's not clearly understood from the way we phrased it on the slide, if you're blocking bots or you've blocked all bots, but you're explicitly permitting some of the Google bots, you might need to go in and explicitly add this Google agent to make sure that it's not blocked in your robots.txt, or maybe you're running through Cloudflare. Cloudflare can be a little aggressive. I like to think that it would automatically allow it. I don't know that. But the point is, there's another agent you need to worry about, so make sure that you're not blocking it. All right, let's talk about Google introducing TurboQuant for AI efficiency. So Google's research on TurboQuant is about improving AI model compression, which will just make it faster and able to scale faster and bigger, right? It aims to reduce compute costs while keeping performance stable, and it's supporting faster and cheaper AI systems at scale. Hopefully, it will influence future search and ranking infrastructure, because Google does have a lot of AI already built into driving what we see on the surface as just search. And this is part of a broader AI efficiency push. Part of the reason they're doing this is because you've all heard about the data centers that are being built. The data centers are being built to accommodate the compute required to run all of these systems. So if they can make more efficient and cheaper compute, then they won't need as big of or as many of these data centers that everyone is very upset about. So we all want this to work very well, but it's it's new. Hopefully it will go. The AI or the SEO thing I want everyone to take away from this is, as they find ways to make the AI faster and more efficient, you have to remember that if you are not starting from a perfect, perfectly structured, perfect start point, the AI is just going to make whatever is wrong scale faster and bigger.
Mm.
So if you're starting with chaos, all you're going to end up with is a lot more chaos. It has to be good. Think about it. I don't know how many of you are knitters. If you drop a stitch early and you keep going, the whole sweater's messed up, right? Same thing. You have to make sure that you're starting from a very well-defined, well-structured start point. Did you have anything to add to that?
Not really. Although everything, all the information and data everywhere is going to get faster and more efficient to understand. It's going to be doing it faster, which means that eventually, I don't know how much you're doing things inside Claude or ChatGPT, but you do things and I have to wait for it to respond. And I think that soon all of that kind of the response times of all these agents is going to get that much quicker, and everything will be a bit more instant and seamless, which I think is a good thing. And if you're a fan of Silicon Valley, this is basically Pied Piper. This is exactly what Pied Piper is.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch Silicon Valley.
Yes. It's amazing. A cautious tale is what I call it now, not a comedy.
That's that's kinda scary when you think about it. It's sort of like, Idiocracy that's sort of
Yes,
turned into a documentary.
which is funnily enough made by the same person. So,
I didn't know that. Oh,
yes,
that's good
oh my
to know.
god,
Now I'm actually interested in watching it.
yeah, I forgot his name. Someone will say it in the chat, the guy who made Beavis and
Yeah.
Butthead. It's all the same person.
Oh! Oh, wow,
Might
okay.
Judge, Might Judge. Sorry,
Alright.
time. Let's not derail. But yes, watch Silicon Valley and watch Idiocracy everywhere. It is kind of relevant for the world we live in at the moment.
It
So
is.
yes.
Why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so Google has added AI bot labels to Q&A structured data. And what that means is that inside forum posts and even sometimes websites, you can have AI generated answers, maybe before real people's comments. I know that that happens in a lot of forums. It's kind of like it may grab some information on what they think the question is inside a forum and answer it automatically. What Google is saying now is that we should be labeling those answers as ones that have been created by an agent rather than a human. It's just good for labeling and to distinguish the difference because I'm sure it's getting harder for them at the moment. But yeah, this is a good labeling, and it's good for us to declare those things as well, and to be honest to a search engine and assistant engines out there. I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, Elementor has launched Angie, which is an agentic AI for WordPress. So it's supposed to automate site building and management tasks, and it's moving assistant-style AI to action-based agentic workflows. It's supposed to reduce manual setup for WordPress users, and it's apparently a signal of deeper AI integration into CMS platforms. I have not used this, but um, I actually don't know if I have any Elementor sites, to be honest. Do you have any?
We have a couple, but I was able to see a live demo with Miriam and I forgot who. I forgot his name, the other guy's name. But yes, hello Miriam. She gave a live demo of it. The demo that I saw is that she showed you to build things inside Elementor using natural language. So think about it as going. Well, I think the best way of people comparing this is using Claude Code. I know that some people, if they're technical enough in here, have been able to maybe develop themes within Claude Code. This is, think of that, but inside the WordPress dashboard, and that you chat to a chatbot inside the backend and make things like, I don't know, a new content block with certain specifications, and it will build it knowing what it knows about WordPress and at the same time about Elementor specifically. So it's quite cool if you want to scale or do custom stuff with Elementor itself. But yeah, I think as a whole, I think it's more suited towards Elementor builds as they would want that to be, of course. But it's interesting to see a way in which a page builder is taking on a chatbot and WordPress at the same time and combining them into some, more seamless experience. It's good though.
I think a lot of things are gonna be moving to this soon. So it is interesting. It's interesting to play with all the new tools as each of the companies is introducing them.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely good information if you are an Elementor user. So Google completed the March 2026 spam update and core update rollout. It went out pretty quickly right around the end of March. The core update ran a little bit longer. It completed April 8th, which was about 20 days ago.
Mm.
And the core update was reassessing overall search rankings. The spam update was focusing on spam systems like Spam Brain and not general quality changes. So the key takeaway is that there were some updates. There were changes in Search Console. Let's see, separate spam related drops, which means if you were spamming or you think you were affected by the spam update, separate that from the core update changes because the dates are different when you're looking at Search Console before you make any content or technical fixes. Um, the reason we give you the dates is so when you go into your analytics programs, you can identify ranges and say, okay, this bad thing happened on this date. What event occurred concurrent to this that might be related? So if you see something bad happening to your rankings right around, March between March 24th and let's say March 28th, that was likely related to the spam update. If it happens later, if it starts happening, you know, anywhere between the 27th and let's say, April 10th, then that is more likely the core update. Knowing which one of the updates hit you is going to
Mm,
help you decide how you're going to address it.
yeah.
That's the reason we tell you this.
And if you had a positive outlook in any of your graphs that you see, keep don't go, whoa, now we can like put the accelerator on whatever you may have been doing before. Keep on doing what you're doing, but don't take the mick. But yeah, it's interesting when things happen that fast. The spam update, I think, was one of the fastest Google updates. I think,
Mhm.
except for one, I think it was less than 20 hours, something. It was very quick. But yeah, always interesting to see. And let's see what the next one does, which will probably be around July, won't it?
Yep. So you had a chance Cloudflare has introduced EmDash, which they're promoting as a WordPress alternative. You said that you played with their sandbox a little bit?
I did. It looks a lot like WordPress to me. I mean, in short, I know that they've built around it. I don't know what Cloudflare's long-term goals are with MDash. I don't know if they want to actually build the new WordPress, but I haven't. I don't know. It came out on the 1st of April. It was the only thing that wasn't an April Fool's joke, and I think they actually had to double down the next day and say that it definitely wasn't an April Fool's joke, and some adding to any WordPress drama that may or may not be happening around round about now. But I think that they are trying to maybe make a use case, and if they are the use case, then great, of a new CMS that can be understood. I think they're trying to go agentic first. Like if the agents are happy, then the humans will be happy, rather than what we've been used to from incumbent CMSs, which is we're keeping the humans happy and the agents haven't even existed yet. So now we have to adapt around it. So I think they've taken that approach. And whilst they have some good stuff in it, adoptions remains to be seen. I haven't seen any production ready businesses, for example, using this. I've not seen it used at scale. And maybe time will tell whether it becomes an actual legitimate CMS out there, or whether it's just another feature or product to add to Cloudflare's roster.
I would imagine that it's not the reason WordPress grew the way it grew is there were all of these new sites and new businesses coming online, and getting started with WordPress was very easy.
Mm,
I don't see that growth level happening, so you're going to be relying on people migrating off of other sites, off of
mm.
WordPress, off of, Webflow, whatever it is they're on, to MDash. They're not going to get the brand new users. They're going to be getting the migrating users, and the big question mark is how easy is it to migrate from one to the other without a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of pain? Because I think most business owners don't nobody likes voluntary pain. If it's not broke, they're not gonna fix it, and
Mm.
this is neat to know about, but I'm not I don't know that anyone is going to experience the kind of explosive growth that happened, you know, 15, 20 years ago anymore. I just don't think we're, not that that means it's a bad product. It just means it's gonna be slower, and there's not going to be this obvious absorption of the market share.
And it is
Um,
interesting that, because the way that you were saying about migration, because this isn't just this is like, I would say, maybe the third most stressful decision after buying a house and a car is getting a website, maybe. And when you migrate, you're not doing it just so in a year's time you can jump to a new one. While you were talking, I was thinking it's not covered in the stories, but in the last month, OpenAI have been saying that they're going to be developing a phone, to rival the iPhone. And I was thinking about what you were saying just then, that even if OpenAI make a really good product, they've still got this huge challenge of getting people off an iPhone or an Android phone just so they can benefit, or not even benefit, just be on OpenAI's platform. Like, that's a huge thing, even though OpenAI have a huge traction anyway. Is this the same? Is this the CMS version of that? I don't know. Again, time will tell. I don't know. I wish them luck, but I'm hoping maybe it'll enrich all the other CMSs to up their game a bit. So let's see.
all right. Google CEO says search will become an AI agent manager, and I think this is really similar to what a lot of people have been saying for the
Mm,
last year or so. Um, Sundar has said that search is evolving from showing links to managing AI agents. Information queries will become agentic search, where tasks are
mm,
completed, not just answered. Search may be running multiple threads or tasks at the same time, and future search could act as an orchestration layer between users and AI tools. This is just shifting from information retrieval to task execution. I think I think this makes sense, and I think this is logical. I don't know that this is I don't know that there's anything right now that you need to be addressing other than if you have tasks that can be completed on your site, like purchases completed or forms filled out, etc., make sure that your site is navigable by agents. So you can't have any of the navigation hidden or difficult to find or
mm.
non-intuitive. The machines are looking for patterns, and that's how they recognize paths. And if you obfuscate anything or you get tricky or clever, you might be so clever that you make it so the agent can't proceed through your site. I think this is also where those MCPs are going to be coming into play. You've been doing some work with those recently, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, go to the next slide. What you said fit perfectly into the next slide, which
Oh,
is
okay.
also goes into the Google agent. So the Google agent, user agent that I was talking about before, this is kind of to me quite related because WebMCP is it's a new standard that lets agents interact with websites. So at the moment, what we do is if we say go on a website, an LLM will pass it in different ways. They may even view it like a human. They'll take a screenshot, see what it sees inside the image, navigates through it. They'll look at source code. But here, it's got declarative and directive based scripts that you can add to a website to tell those agents where things are on what they can action. Right. So that can include, so let's use a contact form as a really simple idea. You would label things, and you kind of do anyway. If you've got naming rights under the hood anyway with source code and you've built your site well, you'll have a div with a class of contact, all of that. That makes it kind of obvious for an agent to assume that it's there. But WebMCP actually tells it, well, this is the form and these are the inputs and these are the things that you can do with the things that you may or may not have already. Like if you're acting on, if it's acting on behalf of me, it'll know that my name's Alex Moss, it'll have my email, it'll have all of those details, and it'll know now it can put it in there and fill out a form based on my instructions and send that form. So it's doing everything without me going into the website, where at the moment there's still this a little bit of a journey of it'll get information. If I want to know more, I still have to go into the website, read the website, and then do something myself in there. It kind of takes that away. Now, some people are saying maybe that's a bit too geeky or not. I'm going to put in the chat a link to Dejan SEO, who, if people don't know him, read his blogs. He's very technical, but he's very intelligent. He has coined it as, I don't know, I'm not going to quote him verbatim in here, but he basically said that this is the biggest technical SEO shift that he's seen in some time, because you're informing something to do something that you would want them to do as part of SEO anyway. So whether or not it's huge or not remains to be seen. I'm a bit of a fan of this. I think this is going to be very good. I think that this might be a next stage, because all we're doing is adopting to another audience. It just so happens that the audience isn't human this time. So yeah, the takeaway: structure your code in there. Look at a WebMCP because it's only a script and that you can add to a site that adds all this stuff, and check it out. More fun stuff to come.
Very cool. All right, next we have Google updates spam policy for back button hijacking and improves spam reporting tools. So I've never done this because I think it's horrible and I find it offensive, but some people will write scripts that hijack your back button. So you try to click back and it does weird things. It jumps you to ads. It does all sorts of other horrible things. It's incredibly annoying. And now Google is punishing it, which I'm very pleased about. So you're no longer okay to block or manipulate back buttons. You're going to get penalized if you do that. So if you were doing it, A, you're a bad person and it's annoying, and stop that. Third-party scripts can also cause some of these problems. Enforcement is going to begin June 15th, which means as of the end of this week, you have about 6 weeks to stop doing it if you're doing it. Don't start if you're not, but if you are, clean that stuff off your site as soon as possible so that you don't get in trouble. Google's also expanding tools for reporting spammy sites. So if you do encounter a site that is guilty of one of these bad tactics, you can drop a dime and tattle on them if you are the tattling type.
which the people who do spam aren't happy about. Go figure. I mean, as a Brit who, we were talking about it before, and anyone in the UK here, I have my local paper, the Manchester Evening News. I think they're owned by Reach PLC. So I think it's like the same network of sites with all the local places. I can't hit back on the MEN or Berry Times or something like that. I see a bunch of ads. They're not even relevant. So big fan of this stuff. I wonder what'll happen though. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on their sites to see if they either A, take action and all of a sudden I'll be able to exit one of these articles, or whether all of a sudden their visibility might disappear or go down. I'm going to be, it's a good use case. I'll give it Steve Payne and Systrix if he's here. I know he's in here sometimes now and again. And if you are, please add them.
Excellent. All right, so next we have Google Search Console glitch sends incorrect impression information. I didn't, did I get one of these? I might have gotten it and just ignored it. There was apparently a faulty email about impression tracking that went out starting April 12th. So that was what, a couple weeks ago now.
Mhm.
It incorrectly implied that new or missing impression data, long established websites. Actually, I did get this. I got this, and I got it for websites that, like, I had forgotten I had
Yep.
connected to Google Search Console, and that's the only reason I was even aware that something weird must be happening, because why am I getting these emails? The site hasn't even I haven't worked on this in 20 years. What's going on? So Google confirmed it was an email glitch, not a data issue. There was no rankings or reporting data actually affected. So if you did get some weird emails, don't worry about it. It was an oops.
It
They're
was an
sorry.
oops. It was an oops.
Tell me
Ne-
about, this new Anthropic stuff, because I know you use Claude a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I've been having so much fun with Claude this last month. I feel like I need to go to those Claude support groups for doing a bit too much, getting to
You're
the
a little
limit.
bit addicted?
Yeah, so Claude Design is there, and I mean, some people are saying it's like a Figma killer, all of those things, but
Oh,
I don't quite know about that yet. I still think it's kind of you can still design stuff inside Claude, inside the normal chat, but this is a bit more sophisticated. You can import assets and brand guidelines, and there's a bit more to it. And obviously, that part of the LLM is built for design. I think you can also export in loads of different ways. HTML, so you can take it back into chat or Claude Code. You can export it as a Figma to give it to a designer to then do more work. It's just closing that gap between, I think they're trying to close the gap between design and development, because I know now, I've been testing it. If I create a website, I can then send that to Claude Code. Claude Code can develop it with co-work on a local WordPress site. So I could make any site and it could be made into a customized WordPress theme just by prompting if I'm good enough. It's also worth noting that Claude Design have limits, but they're different limits to the normal Claude limits. I don't know how they do it with billing or whatever, but if you run out of limits in Claude, at least you can have a bit of solace to know that you can go to design and use that while the reset is still going. But yeah, it's very cool. I know that my wife, she uses Claude for different reasons. She was using it for like pitches and decks and stuff like that as well. So again, Claude can do decks, but I think it's just a little bit more sophisticated with the design.
this is like I can hear the jobs evaporating as we talk about this.
Or that person who does that job can do a hell of a lot more quicker. But
Hopefully that's what
hopefully,
happens, but yeah, it's,
yeah.
I
If
don't
any
know.
manager, by the way, if anyone in the audience, if your manager is telling you to note down everything that you do and the process that you do it and the thought process that you have and put it into a nice little text file, just beware.
They're
Just
yeah,
be
they're
wary of
training
that.
the AI to replace you is
Yeah,
what's
yeah, with a
happening.
skill.
Yeah. Well, speaking of scary things happening, Anthropic is previewing Mythos. I think you called it Mythos, actually.
Yeah.
Um, it's a highly capable cybersecurity-focused AI model. Apparently, it is so smart that they can't release it to the public. It's just too powerful. It will find software vulnerabilities. I heard, was it Mozilla ran it or Firefox ran it, and they found 200 problems and vulnerabilities in their code that were 20 years old and fixed it right away.
Yeah.
Like, just what it can do is insane, and in the wrong hands could probably, like, demolish any security features that are out there, which is, I think, why they're so scared about it. But that's, we're one step closer to Skynet taking over, right?
Yeah, we are. I mean, it is a bit weird that we're now getting to that point quite quickly where they're like, we've made something that we can't let the general populace get access to. I've been watching lots of these. I don't know if anyone else is doing this. I'm starting to get addicted to all of these AI podcast interviews with random, not random people, but people all in the AI sphere. And was one software person who said, when things like this come out for 2 years, everything's going to break really quickly, and then after those 2 years have passed, nothing will break again. And I thought that was quite an interesting thing. So if you think about it, all that this is doing is closing the gap. Like those 20 bugs you said, well, they're closed, they're gone now. Now that's just
200.
perfected. 200, sorry, Jesus,
Yeah.
200. So you've got 200 bugs that have been all sorted within the space of a month that you said have been going on for years, some undetected. I think maybe this might happen for they'll happen in phases, but there'll be a lot of issues that are going to be closed in GitHub over the years. I can think, and then soon there'll be no such thing as an issue, will there? You would like to hope.
Hopefully. Hopefully, this is all for good and not for evil.
Well, yes, I
Speaking
mean,
of,
like Jason's saying, if Claude folks can make it, what would stop a malicious bad actor? And again, there's been political debate over that. I'm not going to derail too much, but it's, do you do it before the adversary does it, or do you all stop like a ceasefire for technological advances? And that's a debate that, I don't know. Let's face it, no one's going to put down their hands off a keyboard. They're not going to.
no,
No
I
one,
I
no
think
one's
I think
stopping.
the only thing that's worked recently in terms of how you in terms of escalating warfare, basically, I think, is peace through assurance of mutual destruction. So are we going to get to a point where everyone's got the ability to essentially nuke their enemies, but no one is doing it because once you launch on them, they'll launch on you and then everyone's dead?
Exactly. But who cares? Because Sam Altman wants money from advertisers, right? That's what they've done now. They've opened ChatGPT Manager. See how I did that? Got us off the doom and gloom
That was
because of
good.
adverts. I know it's not SEO, it's ads, but they have added the AdsBot, which is interesting because that means they're not going back on ads at all. They're going to get heavier into it. And the
Yeah,
AdsBot checks things, doesn't it? To make sure of relevancy, it's suitable for the ad that it's coupled with.
aren't their ads, like, stupid expensive, though?
I don't know. I haven't actually tested
I
out.
I'll have to double check, but the last I heard, the minimum was $60 per impression, or $60 CPM, which means $60 for every 1,000 impressions, which is crazy because most ads are like 6 cents per 1,000 impressions. And then, it was like a $200,000 minimum spend per month. So, that's crazy, dude.
It is
Oh,
weird. I don't know. I've added this search engine roundtable link to this thing, but it has the gift that I stole from them to put in here. But yeah, they'll have stole it from OpenAI. So someone somewhere will have written about how much this stuff costs. But it is interesting now that if you're in the game where your audience is going to be inside ChatGPT a lot, then it's now another channel for you to look into.
that's true, and if you've got the money, then, play with it. All right. Oh, here's a fascinating article. Uh, there's an article in Search Engine Journal about what search engines trust now, which is authority, freshness, and first party signals. I will, full disclosure, I wrote this. So I can tell you exactly what it's about. Essentially, the impetus for writing this was that people are seeing their clicks go down. Your clicks are going to go down. You've probably already lost 30% of your clicks. That's a thing. The reaction needs to not be let's crank the content mill knob up to 12, because what you're doing then is flooding the zone and diluting your signal, and you're going to end up with a lot of cannibalization. The search engines care now. Well, the updates are continuous. They're not happening, once a year or even once every 6 months. The update and the tweaking to the algorithm is ongoing. The half-life of any signal that you're getting from the search engines is 10 minutes, basically. Whatever they're telling you now that they like or they're responding to is going to change before you can possibly react to it. So constantly chasing those tweaks and chasing the algorithm is it's futile at this point. Authority itself needs to be foundational rather than something that's nice to have after the fact. So you're really optimizing for your authority, and the optimizations you do on your site are more for structure to make sure that once the authority gets them to your door, they can scoot around and get the content that they need. Um, Freshness is going to be more about ongoing eligibility, not just recency. So you can't just change a date on something. You're going to have to actually make a change to it. And then first party signals are increasingly critical. First party signals are the things that you're saying about yourself on your website. If the Wall Street Journal says that you're the most amazing business ever, that's great, but you need to repeat that message on your website because your website is considered the source of authority. So, I felt like it was a good article. I invite people to go look at it.
Of
Um,
course, of course. And while I am chatting about the next one, you can tell me, you can put it in the chat, can't you? The link, because I don't have it
oh,
on me in the list.
I
So
can.
do add it. First, before I go on to the next one, it's worth noting what Naringa said. For everyone playing bingo, please make sure you get the whole card, not just one line of the card. You thought it was going to be that easy, didn't you? But it's not. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh, some people are eager, so you'll have to keep on going. Anyway, let's move on. Google adds new task-based features to AI mode. I thought this being put, it's not like super important, but I guess it's a good little bit of what you can do as an SEO or as a website owner. So, in short, AI mode's now bringing out things that you can do and take actions on, such as completing real world tasks, and it's moving search further from links towards execution based interfaces. So you can like book something right on the screen, and then it will use your account to fill out what's it kind of like what a WebMCP was doing, but right from within the search page. These task-based things, like Carolyn was saying before, and what Sundar said in that interview, is that the search is a task within itself, and it's just adding into the bigger layer of tasks that you do in life. Where at the beginning it was just a search engine, it was this whole thing, and now it's part of a larger online experience, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Let let's keep rolling because we've got a few to get through before we go to the Q&A.
Mm.
Um, Google recently this was at the Google event in Toronto, I think. It was somewhere in
Thank you.
Canada.
Yeah.
They said that commodity content does not perform well in search. So they broke out the types of content into commodity and non-commodity. Commodity is generic, widely available info. It performs poorly. I think intellectually we all should have known that, but having them say it is helpful. Content that adds no unique value is less likely to rank. The emphasis is on originality, experience, and useful insights. And this is applying to all content, AI generated and human written, because I don't think they're very good at telling the difference between the two. And it reinforces the focus on quality over volume, which is what I said in my article. So I think everybody is reinforcing the message that you can't just regurgitate known information and expect it to rank. You have to say something unique or provide some additional value, or it's just not going to do well in search. So stop doing generic content. Content mills are notorious for generic content because they don't have anyone there adding that human experience or extra value to the content. You need to
Yeah.
have somebody writing it.
Before you go to the next slide, it's worth noting this picture here is of Danny Sullivan at the event talking. It's also worth noting, similar to do you remember when EEAT came out? It was EAT and they added the second E because they
Mhm.
needed to emphasize more that second E. Now, here, this slide is pretty much word for word from his WordCamp US keynote speech that you were at, right? I think you asked him one of the questions, probably about commodity content. Let's see. But I do remember that last line was more than anything else, unique, authentic, unique content for humans is what he was saying. And now he's changed it that much more to be specific enough to say it's non-commodity. So to me, my takeaway is they said the rest of the sentence, but they added that in, which means that what they just added in is really important to note, is that they had to go deeper to make sure we all understand it's the commodity content that isn't going to be the best or unique. Unique isn't enough, is it, to say that anymore? So yeah, it's interesting he said it that way.
Well, I think for a long time there was this belief that to be unique, it only needed to be 30% different, and different was people were counting just different organization of the words as different rather than differences in the actual content and the meaning of the content. And I think what they're doing now is they're clarifying that when they say different, they mean legitimately different, meaning different content, different different thoughts, not just different presentation of words. So
Yeah,
I think it's good ultimately that they're kind of codifying that for people and making that, really unmistakable.
they're reminding me of those. We've all got that friend who talks for 20 minutes about something, and at the end, you're like, I don't know if I learned anything just then. Like, there was a lot of words, but I don't know what I can. If I'm now to repeat that story to someone else, what can I say about it? Maybe that's something to think about from editorial because we've been saying be concise, right? But here I am, I'm doing it now. Next slide.
All right. Google Ads read more deep link best practices to snippet documentation. So we've all seen these links that say read more, and they just they link into deeper content, right? The links point users to specific sections of a page. The content has to be visible on load, not hidden behind tabs or JS. And this is exactly what we've been telling people about the robots and the scrapers. The LLM robots will not, they're not going to do anything that expands a text box. So if you cannot see it on load, they're not going to see it at all. If you
Mhm.
want them to be able to read the entire content, you have to make that entire content available to them.
Yes.
Clear headings and clear structure improve eligibility. Obviously, we've been saying this. Poor implementation can break deep linking. Again, feels a little obvious, but now this is in their documentation and that makes it, law, right?
Yeah. I have nothing to add to this story. You did that
No
perfect.
notes, 10 out of 10. All right. Talk to me about Bing previews.
Oh, so yeah, this happened in the last 24 hours at SEO Week in New York. We haven't shared. I'm going to share the story because we couldn't share on the slides here. That I think it was Carla who shared pictures from the audience and they just didn't come out right. But basically, in short, Bing are introducing inside Webmaster tools more AI reporting and citation, share of voice, that kind of stuff. It's not even out yet, but he just showed some screenshots on stage, which you can see in here. There's not much more I can say because I just woke up to this story this morning and I can't get access to it. Um, I mean, it sounds great, but then again, like, I don't know. How much more of this reporting that doesn't quite answer the question happen? I hope it answers questions on measurements because if it doesn't, it's just another report. You know how we've been skeptical in the past of, you know, isn't this just long tail or isn't this just obvious keyword clustering and you're just reporting on a set of keywords again? It's just something for board level or non-techie to see that looks legitimate. I'm not sure. Again, remains to be seen. Hopefully, in the next edition, which we'll advertise later, of course, we'll know a bit more and that it will be out there. Or maybe we'll speak to the PM who was involved. Maybe we'll try and get a comment from him. We'll try for
That would
you
be
guys.
helpful. Yeah. All right, now we're up to also in the news. Let's speed run this because we want to be able to get to some questions. Do
Mhm.
you want to do the reading?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so Bing dashboard maps grounding queries, cited pages, which is what they did just before. I think it was just after our last edition. That's now in there. Data Studio is now called Data Studio, not Looker Studio, because it should never have been called Looker Studio. I don't know. I know we look at it, but it's all about data. Google develops its own desktop app. So I don't know. It's just an app. Didn't really. I installed it. It's not really doing much for me. It hasn't got co-work, that kind of stuff, or codecs like OpenAI. But again, remains to be seen because I know Google slap everyone about a month later with something really good. A new way to explore the web with AI mode in Chrome. So Chrome are building out AI mode inside their browser. I can't get it. Maybe you can, Carolyn. We have to wait, us folk in Europe. But there's sometimes for America who are paying for it. There's the
I can
AI
get it.
icon. You've
Yeah.
got it. Whew. Posh. So now you can have Gemini. So the moment I'm using Comet, which is Perplexity, but if you're using something like Comet and you want to use Google's own, you can now download Chrome.
I know it's
Next, Opus 4.7 is released. I feel like it's not news anymore when they release a new model. It's just an improved model. There you go. It's now running for everyone. Meta spins up an AI version of Mark Zuckerberg to engage with his employees because, people like people, right? So let's make a
That's
fake
funny.
version of people and then you can meet me instead of actually meeting me. I mean, he says
But he's
it's
already kind of robotic. Like, do you remember when he was testifying in front of Congress and like he looked like Data from Star Trek?
I thought you were going to bring the example of the comedian, the Southern comedian, and he introduced himself and he's like, he just first question to Mark Zuckerberg was, "Do you like coffee?" And he went, "No." And it was just this awkward silence in the first question into this interview. Amazing. But yes, now you can try. I think the point is that if you're in a big company and that person hasn't got enough time, you can kind of ask fake that person questions that may feed back in their own authority. I guess it has a point. Next, the agent readiness score. Cloudflare has brought up an agent readiness score. I'm a bit skeptical because half of the reporting leads to you having to enable some of Cloudflare's own products. I don't know, but I mean, it checks things, so check it. Anthropic is now at $30 billion. I mean, I think they've overpassed now. They've overpassed Perplexity. They've overpassed OpenAI. I think they
Well,
were always in front of Perplexity.
it's 30 billion in annual recurring revenue, so they're making money.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, talk to us when you've got 50 guys. Introducing ChatGPT images too. You can now make images better in ChatGPT. Google launches workspace intelligence. I haven't said much about it. That I like. That is if you're on Google and using Gmail and Drive and everything, it combines everything together, makes like a Google agent. I feel like that's going to be next level Gemini. You're making a face like you don't
It
like it,
feels
but I like that
so
stuff.
invasive. Okay.
I love it. I don't mind the invasion if you opt into the invasion, I think. And finally, WordPress 7.0 gets a release date of the 20th of May. I know that someone, I don't know who it was mentioning MCP of WordPress inside there. That'll be in WordPress 7. Some cool stuff going to come out, and hopefully, we'll be able to tell you a bit more on things you can actually do that day in our next edition. Woo!
All right. Let us keep rocking and rolling because we got to get through this. So we've got a little bit of Yoast news. If you are a current user of, I believe it's Yoast SEO Premium, the WooCommerce module, and there's one other module. Um, I forget what it is. There's a website though that you can see yoast.com/yoast-seo-ai-plus-april-7-2026. I'm sure Naringa will drop the link in the comments for you. The point is though that if you are an eligible Yoast user of one of those things, you can use the Yoast AI Brand Insights for free. It's a free trial if you're eligible, which is very exciting. And we encourage everyone who is eligible to participate. And then next, there was I guess you would consider it a white paper,
Yeah.
state of the industry kind of thing called the Yoast Perspective. It was an industry-led SEO survey full of insights that has been analyzed and interpreted by Yoast experts, and those experts would basically be me and Alex. So if you're interested in that, we encourage you to go download it. It's a big, long PDF. Lots of interesting insights and nuggets in there. Let's see, our next SEO update will be Thursday, May 21st. That sounds early. So please do join us again.
Yeah,
And then
sorry
let's
about
see.
that. That's me going on holiday the next week. That's
Oh,
why.
is it your fault? Okay, fine. All
It's
right.
my fault. It's my fault.
All right. Well, at least I don't have to do it the day after Memorial Day because that would sort of ruin my long weekend. All right, let's go through the poll results. So hopefully you all answered the poll results where be it? Stop sharing.
Oh, it's closing. Oh, it closed just now.
Oh,
Oh,
it
and
just
also for
closed.
everyone in the chat, I know they were asking about Carolyn's post. I've shared it in there now, so check it out.
All right, add to stage. There we go. Huzzah.
Oof.
Okay, so it looks like more than half of you are focusing more on content clarity and structure. I like this. Good, good, good. Only 15% are updating keywords based on how people ask questions. Um, you do, it's possible that you're already dialed in on that.
Mm,
If you find that you're not, though, do try to phrase things, just phrase your language to match the way the users tend to ask for things. I know I've said this before, but it's the difference between saying a papal visit and the Pope is visiting. Normal people don't say papal visit, they say the Pope, right? So just make sure you're using the same words that your users tend to use. 16% experimenting with AI tools or automation. That sounds about normal. The 13% that are not making changes yet, I'm confused. I'm curious to know what it is that maybe it's not relevant
maybe
to
they're
your.
waiting it out.
Yeah, that could be it too. All
Waiting
right,
out. I mean, there were 160 votes there, so that wasn't just like 4 people, right? Just doing
right.
that. But I like to see the content clarity and structure. I mean, to be honest, that's what I'd be focusing on. I'd be doing the other two things as well, but definitely, I mean, my weakness is content. I'm more technical anyway, but yeah, it's the thing that I feel like I've been talking about much more on stage and in these updates and in general internally.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's try to get to some Q&A.
Mm. Oh yeah, because
Let's
we've only got 8 minutes because we said too
see.
much. But I don't think we said too much. There was too much news, so
There was a lot of news.
it's the world's fault.
Uh, this is interesting. So,
Hmm.
given the current search guidelines, are listicles still a viable way to earn backlinks for service-based businesses, or are they getting flagged for self-promotional content? If listicles are losing effectiveness, where does guest posting fit into today's backlink? And I assume the rest of that word is strategy. Um, so, self-promotional listicles are listicles that are these would generally be listicles that you put on your own website that you included yourself in so that you could name drop popular big names in your industry and then work yourself into that cohort artificially. Um, I would say that if you can get yourself into a listicle, and a listicle is just a name for a bullet pointed article, right? An article of bullet points. If you can get yourself into a listicle that is published somewhere else, I don't think that's necessarily bad. Um, do people pay for that? Yes. Does that mean it's okay? I mean, pay to play is pretty common. It's been happening with magazines and newspapers since time began. I don't know that it's universally going to get you in trouble. I don't know that it's universally going to be a slam dunk either, but a mention in a backlink is a mention in a backlink. So I will let you do with that what you will.
And again, if it's factual and it's additive, then fine. If there's you and two other competitors and you're doing a listicle, then back it up. Don't just say we're the best. say we're the best because of these facts specifically for each of those two other competitors. This is why we're better than competitor A, and then a separate thing about why you're better than competitor B. And then you've got something to back it up with that's factual, and then cite that with another site. So that, again, thinking like an LLM, trying to ground everything, making everything valid and accurate, that's the way you would want it to happen. So
All
so
right.
yeah.
All right, let's do.
This is like another bingo question answer bingo.
What are the SEO implications for bots distinguishing AI generated content from human content on website facts? I think the only reason right now is that Google is going to use that to train their own internal bots to tell the difference between AI generated answers and people generated answers right now. So they're asking you to self identify so their training data is better.
See, part of me thinks that, and then the other part of me thinks that if you don't do it and then you scale, I'm trying to think like a black hat, right? So here, if you want to scale content, you want to answer every question as though a human has done it, but you're doing agentically, then you are kind of cheating the system, and you're not doing anything that's I mean, it may, to a point. I know we've used the what is a ladder definition before. It's easy for an agent to understand what a ladder is and therefore synthesize the answer, and that's obvious. But when it comes to additive content, if you're just automatically scaling and trying to abuse visibility metrics by getting out there as much as possible, then this is a way you could potentially, I'm not going to say penalized, not be given a positive outlook upon in the future once the training data is complete and it knows what the difference is between a bot content and human content in this context.
I guess. I know I see people commenting on like LinkedIn posts and things with the most. I'm trying to think of a nice polite word that I can use to describe this. Annoyingly just it repeats information that people already know, and it's not adding anything. It's not an additive comment, and it immediately makes me think you're using some kind of bot to do this, and I now don't like you as a human being, and I will never do business with your company again. So there are I can see reasons why you would want to train these things away from doing that, because those yeah, it's just I think it's bad. I think it's a bad use of AI, and if you're doing it, it's at your own peril.
Yeah. Let's do one, maybe two more questions before we announce the winner.
All right, fair. Uh, I work with very small businesses, and making changes to their websites to be able to compete is going to be cost prohibitive. I don't know that you need to make changes to websites to compete because if it's a simple website and it's crawlable and easily accessible, all you have to do is make sure that the information is valid and answers questions. I think what's going to be more helpful to these smaller businesses is getting external data points and external citations and messages,
Mm.
and it can be costly. I would focus on writing. We need to go back to writing press releases, and for the love of God, if you're gonna write a press release about actual news. Don't just announce that you're having a sale and it's the same sale you have every 6 weeks kind of thing, and don't make things up. But when you have news, send it to your local newspaper, send it to generally local newspapers. Get into those websites with citations because those are helpful. Sponsor a little league team and get a link back from their site. There's things you can do that there's very few of them that are free, but you are going to have to invest in old school public relations to get those external citations. You talk, 'cause I'm
I agree with most of what you're saying. I mean, yeah, you can't keep making changes, and again, it's cost prohibitive to you to keep on trying to make changes where there are none. But like, why are you more unique than everyone else? If even if you're a local barbershop, there may be something that you can, and that's part of our job, right? To make it more interesting and attractive for your client, the barbershop, to be better than all the other barbershops out there. And it doesn't mean that it has to be cost prohibitive. It means that maybe we have to get more creative with the ways in which we could be mentioned online.
Barbershops and things like that, Instagram accounts, TikToks, things where you can show off the things that the customer's doing and get those external pointers and citations back into the site. That would probably be a low cost way to do that.
Yeah.
Let's grab one more that's going to be super quick. And I know you can answer this one, Alex. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't the right one. Sorry, it was this one.
Will Yoast add the MCP feature to the WP setup? Cannot comment yes yet. I said yes, but I didn't mean yes just then. That came out weird. So
Yeah,
no, I cannot comment yet on what plans are. We want to see what the adoption rate of WordPress's own MCP is, and see whether it's worth doing what we're doing with MCPs. But it's something that I know can be looked at in the future. And again, MCP might be replaced by something else in the next year. Who knows? You still
that's
got to
true.
look at it, but CLI's been options as well. But yeah, watch this space or connect with me on LinkedIn and ask again.
Yeah, because
So
notice he said yet. All
yes,
right, so
so that's all the questions done. We have
do you have a
to
winner?
tell you a winner, and I've been told by our producer Naringa that the winner is Joy A. Congratulations to Joy A. I don't know who you are out there, but congratulations to you. Get in touch, send an email to is it community at, and you will be given your prize. And that is it until 3 weeks from now. Again, I'm sorry it's not the last Tuesday in May. But yes, and in between then, I don't know what conferences you're at. I'm at Brighton on Friday morning. I'm at Hive the day after the next edition.
I'm nowhere yet, but I will be at the SEO FOMO event in Boston on June 2nd, which I believe is a free event. So if you're in the Boston area, please come out and try to hit that. And then June 3rd, I will be doing a mastermind table at SMX Advanced, also in Boston. So if you are in New England, come out and join.
You never
Oh, I'm
know. I
sorry,
mean, people are
June
from
2nd and
everywhere.
June 3rd. There we go.
Yeah, everyone's everywhere. There's a lot of people from America in here this morning as well, or they're leaving anyway. I mean, there's still 267 people in here. Thank you for going over 2 minutes. But yes, thank you very much. We'll see you on the 21st of May. You'll get a spam email about it tomorrow, I'm sure. Don't unsubscribe, please. It helps us in our reports to our managers. Thank you.
All right. See you next time, guys.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.